Have you ever heard of one of the richest, most important, and largest empires to ever exist? The Ottoman Empire was a major Islamic power that at its peak ruled the Levant, Balkans, Anatolia, and North Africa. The empire lasted from the Middle Ages to World War I. The empire was founded by nomadic Turkish people who conquered the region. They converted to Islam and conquered the city of Constantinople. The conquest caused them to become economically rich, and gave them the ability to massively expand. Due to factors such as outside invasions and internal succession problems, the empire began to decline, and in World War I the empire was fully collapsed due to their catastrophic loss. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. Have you ever heard of the time when a Chinese man claimed to be the brother of Jesus Christ, and caused a war that killed roughly 70 million people? In 1850, as the Qing dynasty was beginning its catastrophic decline since the glorious days of the previous Ming dynasty, an individual by the name of Hong Xiuquan, a recent Christian convert after his repeated failures of the Chinese merit exam, claimed to be the brother of Christ. He was able to organize the struggling and desperate peasants of China, and he formed one of the largest rebellions in history. He claimed to be the heavenly king of the heavenly kingdom. The rebellion spread to the struggling peasants across the dynasty. However, after 15 years the war was ended by the Qing army. The rebellion killed an unimaginable amount of people and crippled the Qing dynasty. If you'd like to learn more, please like and subscribe. Have you ever heard of the time when the mighty Mongol Empire lost twice to the decentralized Japanese shogunate? During the time of the Mongol Yuan dynasty in China under Kublai Khan, the Mongols were seeking to expand their borders, just as they had done for the last 2 centuries. Kublai was looking to increase his own prestige and glory, so he looked east from the Yuan Empire to Japan. Kublai attempted a landing in Japan, but he was disastrously defeated by the fierce samurai warriors and most notably a typhoon that destroyed much of his force. After his defeat, Kublai did not just simply give up, he continued to prepare a new invasion force to invade Japan. His forces landed once again and began their battle with the Japanese, and then remarkably another typhoon hit, destroying his forces again. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to like and subscribe. Everyone has heard of Texas, but did you know that Texas used to be its own country? Texas today is the second largest state in the US. The state's GDP can rival that of independent nations. Texas was first founded by Spanish conquistadors who landed in the region, and formed missions to convert local native populations. After the formation of the US, and the independence of Mexico, the region of Texas was formally annexed into Mexico. From 1836 to 1845 Texas had broken away from Mexico in its own revolution. However, the area was still of interest to both sides, so war broke out. The US annexed large swaths of land from Mexico, including Texas. Now Texas is a major state of the US, with a massive land area and GDP. It's one of the most important states in the nation. To learn more, be sure to like and subscribe. What would have happened if the United States hadn't dropped the atomic bombs on Hiroshima and Nagasaki? In 1945, the US dropped and detonated 2 of the first weapons of mass destruction, and hundreds of thousands of civilian lives were lost. However, the bombings caused the war to end with the surrender of the Japanese Empire to the United States and the rest of the Allied powers. But what would have happened if the US hadn't dropped the bombs? Well, the war would certainly drag on for a significantly longer time. The will of the soldiers, civilians, and the leadership of the Japanese Empire was ridiculously strong, and they certainly would not have surrendered even if they lost huge amounts of life. Another thing that would happen would be a US landing in mainland Japan. A landing would cause huge destruction, and the fierce will of Japan would cause the Americans to potentially go into stalemate, not to mention the Soviets to the north. That's all I have time for today, so if you'd like to learn more be sure to like and subscribe. Julius Caesar. I'm sure most people watching this have heard of the Roman general called Julius Caesar. But how did he go on to become so fantastically famous? By the time of Caesar's rise as a military general, the Roman Republic had long lost its ways of democracy, and the aristocratic class rules the Senate and government completely. The unequal atmosphere led to many events such as the rise of Sulla, who would pave the way for Caesar's rise to absolute power. When Caesar was elected consul, he began a campaign to conquer the region of Gaul. Caesar succeeded, and his victories granted him huge favor with the common people of the Republic, but the Senate hated him. As he consolidated more power, and was eventually crowned dictator for life with the help of Mark Antony, the Senate formed a conspiracy and killed him. The death of Caesar led to the rise of Augustus, who would fully consolidate his late adopted father's power, and he would form the Roman Empire. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to like and subscribe. Edited, message #General.
After hearing the news and simply looking at a map, you might wonder why Taiwan isn't currently part of the People's Republic of China. In 1927, the Chinese Civil War began. The war wasn't just between the Republic and the Communists. However, during and after World War II, both sides would regain greater prominence than before the war. Because of the war, the Communists were able to rise up further, and the two sides began to brutally spar. And eventually, the Communists gained the greatest ground and managed to win the Chinese Civil War. The old Republican government managed to flee into Taiwan, where the Republic of China still remains. The PRC actually did attempt to take Taiwan, however the first landing went horribly wrong, where everyone just ended up dying. All the other invasion attempts were illogical, so they were eventually scrapped, and Taiwan remained independent. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe.
Everyone has heard of the beautiful paradise U.S. state of Hawaii. Hawaii today is a state of the U.S., and it's one of the largest tourism-based economies in the U.S., and even the world. But how did Hawaii come to be as it's known today? Hawaii is an island archipelago situated in the middle of the vast Pacific Ocean. Its positioning makes it grounds for one of the most strategic places in the region, itself housing the U.S. base of Pearl Harbor. The islands were settled by various Polynesian sailors and travelers who traveled and settled islands over the entire Polynesian Triangle, which is millions of miles in area. After Europeans arrived, the islands would steadily unify and experience westernization. After a series of laws and interest, the country would go on to be exploited by, and annexed by the US, ending its sovereign monarchy. If you'd like to learn more, be sure to subscribe. Everyone knows about the US state of Alaska, but do you know how Alaska came to be? Before 1784, Alaska was a sparsely populated piece of land northeast of Canada. In 1784, the Russian Empire was ruled by Catherine the Great with a policy of expansion, so Russia colonized Alaska. The Russian colonies proved to lack resources and an effective stream of income for the empire, so in March 1867, Russia sold Alaska to the United States. Later, large oil reserves and natural resources were discovered. The state also proved to be strategically very important to the US, causing it to become a crucial state. If you'd like to learn more, please like and subscribe. Have you ever heard of the Reign of Terror? The Reign of Terror was a period of the French Revolution lasting from 1793 to 1794. Maximilien Robespierre was the most powerful man in France at the time of the French Revolution and the Reign of Terror, he himself being the most prominent figure in the period. Robespierre was extremely paranoid, and had a ridiculous god complex, going as far as creating his own cult, and changing the entire calendar. In his psychotic paranoia, he ordered the deaths of thousands upon thousands of people via guillotine, until his own execution when he attempted to confront his own members of the Committee of Public Safety with threats of executions, and he was sentenced to his own death by guillotine. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. Have you ever heard of the First Punic War? The First Punic War was the first of three. The war was a largely maritime war fought on and around the island of Sicily from 264 BCE to 241 BCE. The war started due to continual conflicts between the seafaring Carthaginian Empire and the famous and notable Roman Republic. The Romans managed to conquer Sicily and form a full navy to rival the already established and formidable Carthaginian navy. As a result of the bold command structure and the fierce Roman determination, the Romans won the war. The peace caused the Romans to gain Sicily, Corsica, and Sardinia, and the Carthaginians were forced to pay a large sum of money. The war would also set the stage for the Second and Third Punic Wars, videos in which will be coming eventually. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. The smallest country in the world. The Papal State in its current form is the Vatican City, a complete enclave where the clergy and Pope of the Catholic Church reside. The Vatican is in the middle of the city of Rome, and it's currently the smallest country in the world. After the fall of the Roman Empire, and Gothic Italy, the Pope in Rome consolidated power to form the Papal States. The Papal States ruled central Italy under the Pope as the seat of the Catholic Church. The Papal State was major power wielding massive amounts of influence up until Italian unification in 1861. After unification, the Papal States have been reduced to the tiny Vatican City in Rome today. If you'd like to learn more, please like and subscribe to the Schlieffen Plan. The Schlieffen Plan was the German plan for the invasion of Belgium as well as France in World War I. The plan was to kick off the beginning of the Western Front. The Germans expected to quickly move through Belgium, and to move easily into France to capture Paris and end the Western Front. However, the Belgians put on a strong fight holding the Germans back, and when French forces arrived the Germans lost their ability for warfare at lightning speed. On top of that, the Belgians called in Great Britain into the war, causing the stalemate, and the Western Front we know today. If you'd like to learn more, subscribe, and check out the links in the description. Have you ever heard of the ominous Attack of the Dead Men? The Attack of the Dead Men was a remarkable and brutal event occurring in August of 1915. The German forces on the Eastern Front in Poland began an attack on the Osowiec fortress. The Russian forces valiantly defended the fortress until the Germans released gas onto the fort. In an absolutely stunning and horrific event, as the Germans began to celebrate their victory, the garrison of the fort began to charge out, literally dying as they moved. It was so utterly horrifying to the Germans that they ran away, some getting stuck in their own barbed wire. If you'd like to learn more, like and subscribe.